Midnight, New Mexico desert. The hacksaw bites into iron as a cowboy cuts the chains, binding an Apache woman to a wagon wheel. She's been captive for 3 days, starved and beaten by outlaws who'll wake soon. He whispers he's saving her. She hisses back words that stop his hand. "I'd rather die than be yours." He's white. Every white man she's known has taken something from her. Family, land, dignity. Why should this one be different? He keeps sawing anyway. The chain snaps. Gunfire erupts. They run. But what this cowboy doesn't know is that 3 years ago he helped burn her cousin's settlement to the ground. And what she doesn't know is that tonight he's trying to save the soul he lost in those flames. The midnight air carried juniper smoke across the New Mexico Badlands. Nora's wrists burned beneath iron shackles, the metal abrading skin raw from 3 days of captivity. The outlaw camp lay quiet, except for drunken snoring from the canvas tent, where the men who'd ambushed her supply wagon slept off their whiskey. Soft boots crunched on desert sand. A figure emerged from darkness, tall, wearing a weathered duster and wide-brimmed hat. A cowboy. He approached with hands visible, a hacksaw glinting in moonlight. "I'm getting you out of here," he whispered, kneeling beside her chains. "Don't touch me," Nora hissed in English. She'd learned the language from missionaries, though she'd never trusted their motives. The cowboy, Silas, positioned the hacksaw against the chain link. "I'd rather die than be yours," she said, her voice venomous. "I know what you want. I know what all of you want. Cut these chains and I become your prize instead of theirs." Silas's jaw tightened. Something flickered across his face. Hurt or recognition. Then he began sawing anyway, the blade biting into iron with a soft metallic whisper that seemed deafening in the desert silence. The hacksaw's rhythm filled the night as Nora watched this stranger work. "Stop," she demanded. "I won't go with you." Silas didn't pause. "You don't have to. Soon as this chain breaks, you can ride east. My horse is tied beyond that ridge. Take her." "Your horse." Nora laughed bitterly. "And what do you get?" "Nothing. I get nothing, and I expect nothing." Memories flooded her mind. She'd been 12 when soldiers came to the reservation, promising food and blankets. Her father had trusted them, signed papers he couldn't read. Within a month, they'd been relocated to land where nothing grew. Her mother died that first winter, her father the following spring. At 16, she'd married seeking safety. He'd been killed defending their camp from miners who wanted the land. By 23, Nora had learned to survive alone, hauling supplies, breaking horses, working for anyone who'd pay an Apache woman cheap enough. Silas's past was written in scars on his hands. He'd been a ranch hand until the drought of 79. His employer, desperate and cruel, had blamed the local Apache tribe for stealing water. The rancher organized a raid. Silas, 24 and foolish, had ridden with them. By the time he realized what was happening, 3 Apache men lay dead, and a settlement was burning. He'd pulled a child from the flames, a girl maybe 7 years old. She'd looked at him with absolute terror, and in her eyes he'd seen himself clearly. Monster. He'd deserted that night. For 3 years he'd drifted, drinking too much, seeing that little girl's face in every fire. When he'd spotted the outlaws' camp yesterday, watched them chain Nora, watched her refuse to show fear, he'd made a decision. Maybe he couldn't undo the past, but he could do one thing right. The chain snapped. The breaking iron echoed across the desert. Both froze, listening. Snoring continued. No alarm. Nora rubbed her wrists, staring at Silas with confusion and suspicion. Why? Does it matter? He stood, gesturing toward the ridge. Ride hard to Silver City by dawn. You're not coming? Someone needs to make sure they don't follow. Silas checked his revolver. I'll give you an hour's head start, then lead them west. Nora's mind raced. White men didn't sacrifice themselves for Apache women. Yet here stood one offering his horse and his life, asking nothing in return. "You want to ease your conscience," she accused. "One good deed to erase whatever you've done." "No, nothing erases it." He met her eyes. "I know that." "Then why?" "Because I'm tired of being the man I became, and because you deserve better than to die in chains, even if you hate me, even if you're right to." The truth in his voice shook something loose in her chest. She'd expected lies. Instead, she heard only exhaustion and regret, emotions she knew intimately. A sound from the tent. Footsteps. The tent flap opened. A bearded outlaw emerged, squinting into darkness. His eyes landed on the broken chain, then Nora standing free. "Hey! They're escaping!" Chaos erupted. Silas fired twice, driving them back, then grabbed Nora's arm. "Run!" This time, she didn't argue. They crashed through sagebrush, gunfire cracking behind them. Silas led her up the ridge where his paint mare waited. "Get on!" He boosted Nora into the saddle, slapped the horse's flank. "Ride!" "What about you?" "I'll slow them down." He turned back toward pursuers, revolver ready. Nora should have ridden away, but something made her pause. "No," she said firmly. She extended her hand. "Both of us or neither?" Silas stared, shocked. "You don't—" "I'm choosing to trust you. Don't make me regret it." Something shifted in his expression. Gratitude, wonder, redemption itself. He grabbed her hand and swung up behind her. The paint mare grunted, but responded when Nora dug in her heels. They rode hard into darkness, the mare's hooves thundering across desert floor. Silas directed them toward a narrow canyon where two riders could lose 5. As they rode, Nora felt Silas's solid weight behind her. He could have overpowered her easily. Instead, he let her control the reins, trusting her knowledge of the land. "The raid on the settlement," Silas said suddenly, voice rough. 3 years ago, near the Gila River. I was there, I helped them, and I've been trying to figure out how to live with it ever since." Nora's hands tightened on the reins. She knew that raid. Everyone did. "Why tell me?" "Because you deserve to know who's behind you, and because I don't want you to trust me based on a lie." Canyon walls rose around them, bathed in moonlight. "My brother might have been there. He disappeared that year." Silas's breath caught. "I pulled a girl from the flames. 7, maybe 8 years old. That was my cousin's daughter," Nora said quietly. "She lived. She's 14 now." The silence between them held weight. Not forgiveness, but something more honest. Acknowledgement. Truth. They emerged from the canyon as dawn touched the eastern sky. The outlaws had lost their trail. Nora guided the exhausted mare toward a creek, dismounting to let the animal drink. Silas slid down beside her, keeping respectful distance. In growing light, they could see each other clearly for the first time. "I judged you," Nora said finally, "before you'd even spoken. You had every reason to." Silas looked at his scarred hands. "Everything your people have suffered, I was part of that. And I forgot that individuals can choose differently." Nora touched her wrists, still marked from chains. "My hatred was justified, but applying it to you before knowing you, that was my choice, my failing." The sun broke the horizon, painting the desert gold and red. "Where will you go?" Silas asked. "Silver City. I have friends there. You?" "Away, maybe north." He managed a sad smile. "Somewhere I can be a different man." Nora considered him, this cowboy who'd risked everything for her freedom, who'd confessed his darkest sin rather than accept trust built on deception. Redemption couldn't erase the past, but it could shape the future. "Silver City needs ranch hands," she said carefully. "Good ones who'll work alongside anyone. It's hard work, low pay, and people will judge you by actions, not words." Understanding dawned in Silas's eyes. "You're offering me a chance." "I'm offering you the same thing you offered me, a choice. What you do with it determines what kind of man you actually are." Silas extended his hand, not in ownership, but in equals recognizing each other. I won't waste it. Nora took his hand firmly. See that you don't. They rode toward Silver City together, the sun climbing higher. Hatred hadn't vanished from the world. Centuries of injustice couldn't be erased by one night in the desert. But two people had confronted their prejudices and emerged changed. When they reached town's outskirts, Nora dismounted. The Henderson Ranch, 2 miles north. Ask for me. If you show up, I'll speak for you. And if I don't, then I'll know I was right the first time. She met his eyes steadily. But I don't think I was. Silas watched her walk toward town, then turned his mare north. Behind them both lay the chains of the past, broken but not forgotten. Ahead lay something harder than either had imagined. Not forgiveness, which couldn't be given so simply, but understanding, and perhaps, eventually, trust built on truth rather than assumptions. The desert sun blazed overhead, but in its light, two people carried forward a lesson learned in darkness, that honor and dignity weren't bound by skin color, and that the hardest prejudices to overcome were sometimes our own.